Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to look at the following volume problem. It says the volume formula for a cone is V equals 1/3 pi r squared h, and we want to solve this formula for r. The second part of the question says if a cone had a volume of 760 cubic inches and a height of 6 inches, what would be the length of the radius to the nearest inch? So the second part is going to be very easy once we figure out the first part. So let's go ahead and start with that volume formula. So my volume formula is 1/3 pi r squared h. And the goal of this problem is to isolate the radius, to isolate the variable r. So my first step is I'm going to get rid of the 1/3 out front. So remember, to move a fraction like this to the opposite side of an equation is you either can divide by that fraction or you can multiply by the reciprocal. I'm going to choose to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. When I do this, I'm going to leave 3v, so 3v equals the 1/3 is going to cancel out with the 3 that I multiplied by, and I'm going to be left with pi r squared h. So now I need to move the pi to the left side and the h to the left side, because remember, my goal is to isolate my r. Since everything is being multiplied together, I need to do the opposite, which is division. So I need to divide both sides by both of those terms. I need to divide by pi, and I need to divide by h. That's the opposite operation. So when I do that, I can't combine anything on the left side, so I'm going to rewrite it as 3v over pi times h equals, well, the pi cancels out because it's on top and the bottom of my fraction, and the h cancels out as well. So I'm just left with r squared. So I almost have r by itself, but it still has that squared. It's still r squared. So I need to do the opposite operation. So the opposite of squaring something is taking the square root. So if I square root the right side, I have to square root the left side as well. Again, I'm not going to be able to simplify anything on the left side. I'm going to leave it as the square root of 3v over pi times h, or pi h, equals, but now the square root cancels out with the squared, so I'm left with equals r. So in green, to the right, I'm going to rewrite my equation in terms of r. It's r equals the square root of 3v over pi h. So that is the equation in terms of r. This is my volume equation, but in terms of r. So now the second part should be pretty easy. So it tells me if a cone has a volume of 760, so I'm going to plug 760 in for V, and a height of 6 inches. So I'll plug 6 in for H. And then it's just going to be simplifying and rewriting it to the nearest inch. So I'm solving for R, and when I plug everything in, I have the square root of 3 times my volume. 3 times my volume in this case is 760, divided by pi times h. So pi times h, which in this case was 6. So at this point, I'm just going to type all of this into my calculator. Make sure you're careful with your parentheses and make sure that everything is grouped correctly together. And when you do this, you get an answer of 10.998. So it's approximately 11 inches. So my final answer would be a radius of 11 inches. Hey everyone, I hope this practice problem was beneficial. If you enjoyed it, check out the video description. There's a link to some more practice problems. I'll also link to any videos that might be useful. Thanks for joining us. See you next time.